What's up, guys? So this is part 2 of my top 10 LPs I got in 2024, my favorite 10 LPs. So yeah, we got 5 more of the last 5, and obviously these are in no particular order of which one I like better. And honestly, it was really hard to pick, which ones. I got a lot of cool shit I liked, and especially like the last few, I didn't know what to pick. Like I was definitely stuck up between a few options, but yeah, so we got the last 5, and yeah, we might as well dive right into it. The first record is one of my favorite bands from the Ukraine. I'm sure everyone knows what this is going to be if you know me or have me on Instagram or anything. We'll just get to it. It is Nocturnal Mortum's Welton Shong, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll show you guys the gatefold and variants in a second. Yeah, so I got that within the last like 2 weeks of 2024, so it just barely made the cut. I've wanted that album for a while. I actually have the cassette, and I have the Taste of Victory LP that was pressed a couple years ago, the Ukraine edition, and tribute to Ukraine or whatever. So yeah, so obviously I got it. I own some shit, of that era of Nocturnal Mortum. I think the Taste of Victory has obviously a more raw production, and then you have the exclusive track. It's like As the Golden Eagle, or the Golden Eagle something something, but it's like the last track on the Taste of Victory. It's like fucking 12 minutes or maybe like 14 minutes. It's like an exclusive track on that. But obviously on Welton Shong we have like 2 or 3. I think it's 2 new tracks plus all the instrumentals between each track. So that's pretty cool. Show you guys the variant and the LP and such. So yeah, better look at the cover. I'm sure most of you have seen this cover. Guys got the back. So yeah, we got 13 tracks, and there's an instrumental between each one. So there's 6 tracks with an instrumental between each one, so 7 instrumentals. I got the studio members and then the live members. You got Vargoth right there, the mastermind behind Nocturnal Mortum. And show you guys the variant. Let's see, yeah, we'll show this one. Got this cool little explosion. Well, not little. Yeah, this one has more emphasis on the colored splatters. That's in the back, and yeah, obviously it's a double LP, so the other LP looks obviously very similar. Yeah, cool variant. So let me put this in real quick. So obviously, well, not obviously, some of you might not know, but there's 3 variants for this repress of Welton Shong. There's a regular black LP and a gold LP, and then like the gold or yellow splatter edition LP. Luckily for Hell's Headbangers, they get all the variants of Osmosis because they do a lot of business with each other. So, so typically they get every variant of every record, they press. So that's always pretty cool. But yeah, so one of these days I'm definitely going to make a ranking on my favorite Nocturnal Mortum records. What I will say about Welton Shong, as how I felt for a while now, it probably would be rank number 3. So my 3rd favorite Nocturnal Mortum album. But like I said, I'm not going to give away too much. I definitely should make a video of that because it's one of my favorite bands. But yeah, so we'll get on to the next record. Put this back. So the next record is a Finnish black metal project that everybody should know if you like black metal, and it was a long overdue repress of their debut. I think the last one is in 2018. Like I said, I've only been into black metal a little over 4 years, and I've only been collecting a little over 3 years. So yeah, I wasn't around. I wasn't a fan, or I didn't collect when the first repress came along. And yeah, this is one of the first like Finnish black metal bands and albums I ever got into. So it's like, yeah, it took forever, in my opinion, to have a repress of this album because, I've been a fan of it since the beginning. So it's like, when I saw that shit, I copped instantly. And actually, I got this repress, and right after I went to Fortune Defiance in October, I remember within like the first week I was back home, I was just on my phone, I saw Arcane Altar, which is a US distro. They posted that. I bought it so fast. I got a cool variant for that as well. It is no other than Sargeist's debut, Satanic Black Devotion. One of the most melancholic, depressive, fucking creepy black metal albums, I'd say. At least of the early 2000s. Show you guys the variant. So we got that picture. That as well, the album cover. So yeah, I got the Blood Moon LP. Put some light on that. Looks cooler with the light. Same difference. But yeah, so I saw Arcade Altar post that within like, I think I saw it right when it was posted. So yeah, I'm like, hell no, I'm not gonna hesitate with that. I literally, yeah, and ironically, this is actually Osmosis too, I believe, right? I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is. If I'm saying that right, Osmosis. So, Hell's Headbangers would have gotten it anyway. I just didn't think about that at the time. Like, I see it right there, right now. So, you know, I'm gonna get that shit real quick. So, that was kind of my thought process for that. But yeah, Sargeist debut. They obviously repressed a few other albums that y'all probably already know that I still need to get. I really want to get the Let the Devil In, which I think Hell's Headbanger should get that pretty soon. I'd say within the next few weeks, because Osmosis just pressed that, I think, a few weeks ago. So now we got to wait for like US distros to get it. Obviously, Satanic Black Devotion was pressed a little earlier, alongside with what, like Tyranny Returns and some other one, I think. Yes. Oh yeah, The Heinous Path. Need to get those too. I better act before they all sell out anywhere. But yeah, so that's definitely in my top 10 of my favorite vinyl I've gotten this year. What's up, guys? So now we're on to record 3 of this video, but technically what, like record 7. So we got 2 more records after this record, and that'll be my top 10 records of 2024 that I acquired. So I know I said in the first video that a certain project I'd probably post again since I have so many. You know, it should be obvious now. It is Vothana's Pestilence, pressed by Out of the Dungeon, a second pressing. There's obviously the first pressing of 2022 that seemed to be very limited, because a lot of people were missing this one, and yeah, so I assume it was more limited. I guess they didn't know how well it would sell, and I'm sure it sold pretty good that first time around, and this time around, I'm sure, but especially the first time, since that was kind of like the height of the Vothana hype. So, but yeah, ironically, so my sleep schedule's all over the place. Sometimes I wake up super late. Sometimes I wake up at like 5 a.m. There's really no in between or no consistency of when I sleep and when I wake up. But yeah, so there's a time I was up real early no matter what the fuck I did. Like, this was over the summer of last year. No matter what time I went to sleep, whether it be 2, 4 a.m. or 9 p.m. or whatever, I'd wake up between like 8, 9, and I really wish it stayed that way. I don't know what the fuck triggered not doing that anymore. Like, sometimes I'm like that, sometimes I'm not, but it was lasting a while, and I really enjoyed it, because I hate sleeping all day, honestly. But anyhow, I saw Out of the Dungeon post the second press. You know, they usually don't tease it really. They just say, hey, we have this pressing, you can buy it now type shit. So they make a post about it. And yeah, I saw that post, and then not even with an hour later, I see Winter Solace post it for pre-orders, and I pre-ordered that shit so fast. I didn't know how fast it'd sell or anything, so I didn't hesitate. But just like I do with pretty much a lot of shit I buy, I don't fucking hesitate unless I absolutely have to. But if I don't have to, I'm not going to, basically. But yeah, I probably had to be the first person to order that, because I'm talking about within seconds they posted, I ordered it ASAP. I think it was actually on the 4th of July, or it was around that time at least, but it might have been the exact day of 4th of July. I'll show you guys the variant. So obviously a lot of you know the first press, I'm pretty sure, was only in a black LP, but this second pressing, we got a Fireball, whatever, orange, red, more orange, but Fireball LP. And obviously there's a difference in the album with it being a silver foil versus a gold foil, which I'm not gonna lie, the gold foil works better for me, but like I said, I'm not complaining. I mean, it's so cool that it's like a UV holographic type foil thing, you know, so that's always cool. But yeah, obviously not gonna get too much into the music, but yeah, so this is his shortest full length with only 4 tracks, with the other full lengths having 7 tracks. But because there's only 4 tracks, all the songs are a bit longer. Like, obviously any track by Vothana is relatively long, but I think these ones are just a tad bit longer, just since it's only 4 tracks. The shortest song is the title track, and the last track called Pestilence, with it being around like 10.5 minutes. And the other tracks are all like 11, 12. I think the second track's a little under 11 minutes. So, you know, they're all relatively pretty long. And I've gotten a lot of Vothana LPs in 2024, obviously. But this one, that was actually the last full length I've heard, and probably one of the last releases I ever heard by Vothana. And it's really grown. Even till this day, it's probably one of my favorite releases. It's definitely tied when it comes to full lengths. It's tied with Commando for me. I really enjoy this one. I hear a lot of people throw it under the bus and be like, oh, you know, it's good, but, you know, blah, 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 not as good as whatever, the first 3 albums or any of the demos. But I don't know, I think it's peak shit, man. I don't know what it is, but I I feel like it's a great balance of triumphantness and then sorrowfulness. But you could say that about a lot of his work, since that's kind of like the formula from triumph to tragedy, or however you want to label it. But I just think it does that very well. But we'll leave it at that, since, you know, this is more about the vinyl and such. But okay, so the next record is Blaze Berthal released. Obviously, I used a Forest record in the last video. And pretty much all Blaze Berthal projects involving College Road have been pressed in the past year. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity to get those. I know some people call it a boot or whatever, like I said in the last video. But regardless, if I want it, I get it. Anyhow, so next record is Branikald. Obviously, I have no idea what to pronounce this album. I've noticed a lot of people have told me, they're like, oh, just it'll be some Russian whatever, and people say that's usually just utter nonsense. It's not even the real album cover. And then you see like different names for different shit, so it's a bit unclear, at least from my perspective, of what the exact album covers are called. Usually it revolves in a similar, like the Voice of Frost, or another term saying that in different words, basically. But besides the point, this is actually the first Russian black metal album I ever got into, and the first Blaze Berthal release I ever got into, ever really listened to. Maybe it wasn't the first I listened to, but the first I remember listening to and really enjoying it. At the time, I was going through withdrawals for something I was taking, and I was listening to it, and like, yeah, it really stuck with me. And it's definitely one of College Road's best work, and one of the best Branikald records. And this record's more on the later half of his discography when it comes to Branikald. I'm pretty sure there's 13 full lengths, and I think it's in the last 6 full lengths. So yeah, like I said, the later half, and yeah, it's probably one of the best. The intro, obviously I have no idea how to pronounce that, but it's definitely one of his best ambient tracks. For some reason, it really highlights like Russian landscapes, and maybe that's just all in my head, but to me, like, I think of like a battlefield, a snowy, or just a snowy abandoned town or battlefield in Russia, or something that has to do with war, and you know, like, just like yeah, I guess war is just a really good way to describe it, and just like a snowy battlefield or something along those lines, but specifically in Russia. And obviously, I've only seen like pictures of Russia. I don't really know like in person what it looks like, but to me, it definitely just highlights the emotions and the physical realm in like an audio form of Russia, and like the way of living, and the faults, or whatever you could label it as. But I don't know. I really enjoy that ambient track, and I have a lot of mutuals who really like that track too. But let you guys look at the cover again, and show you guys the variant I got. I actually got this one straight from Asar. I've only placed a handful of Asar orders, probably like 5 or 6 orders total, but actually, so with this record, the story behind it, I had this haul coming. It was about 5 records, and one of them was Graveland's, which was a Creed of Iron by Graveland. Because there's some records he had that weren't he pressed, but I think they were sold out everywhere else at the time, or maybe I just didn't see him in other places. But regardless, I had that record coming. Apparently, he oversold it, so you know, Matteo, however you say his name, emailed me and was like, hey man, if you want another record, let me know now, because I'm about to ship it. And I was like scrolling through, I'm like, you know what, I need to get this Branikald record, because it's the first one I ever heard. So yeah, translucent red LP, super nice. But yeah, that's probably it with that record. Obviously, I'm eventually gonna make a video and go more into depth of how I feel about the record, or how important it is to me, etc., etc. But yeah, we'll get on to the last record. Alright guys, we got the last record, the 10th record of my top 10 favorite vinyl I've acquired in 2024. This is another Finnish band. Obviously, people who know me know I really love the Finnish scene. Out of Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, then Finland, out of those like area, Finland's definitely my favorite. I think, before I said this in other videos, but obviously, you had Scandinavia that was fucking crazy in the 90s with all these bands coming out of Sweden and Norway. And I think when it comes to Finland, there's also a lot of good bands from the 90s that also, you know, paved the way. You had bands like Impaled Nazarene, which, you know, I think they had a lot of grindcore elements in their early shit, and they're trying to be as different from Norwegian black metal as possible. And, you know, you have Harriet, which is also just completely different from anything Norway or Sweden was doing. But I definitely think the mid-late 90s, and especially the early 2000s, I feel like Finland really popped off, because there's just so many good bands coming out. Also, we got big ones like Horna. I mean, Horna's late 90s, but you know, they released a lot of their really good shit in the early 2000s. Yeah, Satanic War Master, Goat Moon. I mean, that's just to name a few. But Yeah, so this band is, they're definitely not during the height of black metal, like 92, 93, 94. These demos, well, the first demo came out in 94 and then 95, so, uh, yeah, so it's still not, it's not at the very beginning, but it's still, in the 90s, so a long time ago. But yeah, this is a project that I think is underrated, but not in the sense that most people haven't heard the name or anything, but more like people, like, I feel like a lot of people, only people who are super into black metal will know, like, this is a really influential band, but not, like I said, not to the point where, like, nobody knows it or it's, like, super obscure. So we'll get to it. It's Thy Serpent, his first two demos, what's it called, Frozen Memory, and then Into Everlasting Fire. Yeah, so this was pressed, I believe, by an Italian distro. I remember I had a mutual post about it, and he had like a timer, and I posted his timer, and I'm like, oh shit, where's that at? I really wanted to fucking know, because I'm pretty into Thy Serpent when it comes to, like, 90s Finnish shit. And yeah, he told me. And yeah, I remember, yeah, there's 300 copies, and I remember I didn't know how fast it would sell, but it was nothing like a Ghetto or Rax Drop or Blood and Crescent where it sells out in like a minute or two. So, that was a relief, I guess, but I wasn't going to take a risk, because at that time I was, doing Ghetto or Rax, Blood and Crescent, so I'm like, I gotta fucking make sure I'm on that shit. But yeah, so I definitely got it pretty easily. I remember like the first 10 minutes it wasn't loading, like it wouldn't let you put it in the cart, so I was like kind of stressing out, but eventually it fucking worked. But show you guys the variant. White LP, the double LP with each demo on each LP, and obviously they're both white. Show you guys the little sheet it came with. Some cool 90s pics of, I think his name is Sammy, if I'm not mistaken. He's like the main dude behind it. Yeah, some cool pics. Yeah, I feel like this release, this like pressing in particular, went really under the radar. So a lot of people, like, they're just like, when was that pressed? If I ever posted about it, I'm just like, because even like when I said I got it, like I probably said on my Instagram or something, like a lot of people did not know. They're like, what the fuck? I never heard about that. It seemed like very under the radar. But yeah, we'll probably wrap it up from there. So yeah, so those are probably my 10 favorite releases. Yeah, now it's 2025, a lot of opportunity to get a lot of other cool shit. As of right now, I have a fair amount of shit coming. A lot of the shit I've ordered in the past like month has still not come yet. I mean, so a good haul of it is from Black Omen, and obviously Black Omen takes probably about a month to ship it, so that's kind of expected at this point. But yeah, I got a fair amount of cool shit coming that I'll definitely include in some of these future YouTube videos. But yeah, so obviously a preview is gonna go on my Instagram and TikTok, assuming TikTok still exists in the next week, which it might not, but if it does, or if it doesn't, regardless, it'll be under Antichrist Vomit Chalice. And obviously the full video is going on YouTube, because that's the purpose, which is deathspells_666. Appreciate you guys watching.